Hey YouTube, welcome back to Slim Win Reacts. Today I'm going to be reacting on 101 facts about Vietnam. I haven't been to Vietnam. I've done Thailand. I've been to Thailand twice and I've been to Cambodia once. In 2018 and 2020 I went to Thailand, and in 2020 I also done the week in Cambodia. Because of COVID I was going to come back anyway, but when I was coming back, or come the end of my last trip in 2020, I realised I did want to see more of Asia, but as we all know, COVID. So what better way than to start learning some facts and seeing more of the country through YouTube and the internet, whilst we wait until we can fly. So yeah, 101 facts about Vietnam. This is going to be an interesting one for me, and I hope it is for you guys, so let's go for it.
This week's edition of 101 Facts. My name
got my
is Sam,
squeaky chair
and I'm here to
still.
take you on another holiday and foray around the world via fact videos. And this time, we're heading to tropical Vietnam, a land steeped in some incredible mythology, stunning vistas, and absolutely crammed to the brim with history. Cool. But how does this help with hair loss? What's the story behind the Vietnamese
Might help me.
love market? And how many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? I know the answer is apparently blown in the wind, but that doesn't really make any sense. 2 out of 3 of those questions are going to be answered.
What is it, a C?
So get ready to wolf down on some foe as we
Please
go
comment if you know what the cannonball is.
kids as we go through 101 facts about Vietnam. But hey, before we get to some legendary history of the Vietnamese people, there's dragons and fairies and everything, let's talk about the sponsors of this week's video, Rizzle. Rizzle is an exciting new video platform to get stuck into. You can follow prompts that ask you life's big questions, or just record your take on certain topics. There's a whole community out there just waiting to hear from you. There's even a new feature that means you can collab in the app. And myself and Chris are on Rizzle, giving you facts 7 times a week, but also have collab templates waiting and ready for you to join in the fun. So, what you waiting for? Download and get Rizzlin'. Number 1. So then, let's talk about Nam, or rather Vietnam, as 2 words as it used to be called. Viet was an old Chinese term meaning outsiders, and Chinese history talks of a kingdom called Nam Viet, probably referring to modern-day Vietnam. Number 2. Vietnam is actually a bit like me in a way, large in all the right ways and shaped like an S. Actually wait, that's not even remotely like me, I'm not that tall and I'm more shaped like a C. Anyway, it's 331.2 square kilometres and the country is indeed shaped a bit like an S. Number 3. 94.5 million people live on this big old S, again, by which I mean Vietnam, not me. Nobody lives on me, especially not during this quarantine. Number 4. Some estimate that Vietnam has over 5,800 different islands. Seriously, Jack Shepherd would love it there.
What?
Number 5. Because of its history, which don't worry, we shall partake in due course, Vietnamese culture is a fusion of different ones, in particular Chinese, Japanese, French and American. Number 6. This right here is the flag of Vietnam. You probably saw it earlier. Nice, huh? Well, like all the best flags, it means something too. The star has 5 points on it to represent farmers, workers and businessmen, intellectuals, youth and soldiers, and the red bit represents blood that was shed during the war. Less nice, that bit. Yeah. Number 7. I think it's safe to say the history of Vietnam goes way back.
When the counter goes down, and you see that bridge with the hands, I just want to know that place. It's a real tease. I hope it's Vietnam. What a tease if it's nothing to do with Vietnam. It's got to be.
We're talking 500,000 years back, baby, as that's when archaeological finds suggest humans first rocked up in that area. I mean, that's pretty much dinosaur times, right? Number 8. According to this legend, which is basically the historical version of some bloke told me down the pub, the first ruler of Vietnam was King De Minh. Number 9. De Minh, descended from a Chinese emperor god, got himself involved with an immortal fairy. We've all been there. Which resulted in the birth of Kin Duong, otherwise known as the ruler of the land of red demons. And his son, Lac Long Quan, is considered in this legendary origin story to be the first Vietnamese king. He's also known as the Dragon King, but only to those who he considers close personal friends. Number 10. The Dragon King then married an immortal from China named O Ko. Just to check, you're keeping up with this, right? Good. The power couple produced 100 eggs, which birthed 100 sons, from which Vietnam's first dynasty, the Hong Bang, are said to come from. Number 11. Cool. I can see the comments now. Sam, you hot bod, this isn't 101 Legends about Vietnam, I came for cold hard facts. And don't worry, I've got you covered, history nerds. Despite those awesome origin stories, by 111 BCE, Vietnam was conquered by their rather large neighbour, China. Number 12. For the next, 1,000 years or so, Vietnam was effectively under Chinese control. The local culture was suppressed and Chinese language, culture and even hairstyles were imposed on the population. Number 13. But it wasn't all bad, I guess. The Vietnamese also learned a lot from China, including how to build dikes and irrigation techniques which made rice and paddy agriculture a staple of life to this day. So I suppose they didn't want to overthrow their oppressors. Number 14.
So they learned how to do
scratch that.
farming.
The Vietnamese did their best to kick out their Chinese conquerors. One notable rebellion came in 40 CE, when the Trung sisters led an army to victory and declared themselves queens of an independent Vietnam. Their freedom was short-lived, however, as the Chinese returned 3 years later and took back control. Number 15. Fast forward 9 centuries or so to the Tang Dynasty in China, and they're finding themselves in all kinds of trouble. So Vietnam took the chance to go it alone again. You can do it, guys, I believe in you. Number 16. More precisely, in the year 938, the Vietnamese, led by Ngo Dinh, defeated the Chinese at the Battle of Bac Dang. In a stroke of genius, the Vietnamese secretly placed spikes in the river just below the high tide mark. So when the Chinese ships came chasing after them, their boats were pierced and sank. The Chinese fled, leaving the Vietnamese to go their own way, like some kind of Fleetwood Mac song.
I was thinking the spikes were going to have a lot more of a dramatic effect, but then that's a brilliant idea to stop the boats. And they wouldn't have seen it coming. They would have had no idea.
Number 17. Now that's not to be confused with another battle of Bac Dang, which took place 350 years later. By this point, the Mongols had conquered China and fancied a piece of Vietnam too. Living up to their reputation for hordes, the Mongols arrived with 300,000 to 500,000 troops.
Wow.
Number 18. This Mongol invasion came to nothing, though, after they were defeated in 1288 by a Vietnamese force led by Tran Hung Dao, who remains a bit of a legend. Like the other Battle of Bac Dang River, they used the old stakes hidden in the water trick. Bloody knew they would. Number 19. Unfortunately, fighting off Mongol hordes, keeping China at bay and expanding southwards took its toll on Vietnam. I mean, I'm exhausted, I only read it out. So, in 1400, the Tran Dynasty was booted out, and by 1407, China was back in. Number 20. Once again, the locals were forced to adopt Chinese ways. We're talking growing their hair long and making sure they had white teeth. Plus, Chinese clothing was a must too. Throw in some heavy taxes and slave labour, and this final period of Chinese domination sounds tough. Number 21. It didn't last all that long, though. Vietnamese hero Le Loi rose up in 1418 and led the Lam Sung uprising for the next decade. Eventually, the Chinese got the message, packed up and went home. Le Loi declared himself the emperor and started the Li Dynasty. Fair enough, I guess. Number 22.
It's a lot of facts and a lot of information, and a lot of it's just going way over my head, but then you suddenly are able to piece bits together as it's going along. So again, we're on 22 and there's 101.
Ooh.
It's cool.
Now here's where things start to get a bit complicated. So basically, the Li Dynasty, otherwise known as the later Li Dynasty, were in power from 1789, but they didn't really have much power from the 16th century onwards. Number 23. Under their watch, and in what can only be described as a bit of historical foreshadowing, Vietnam was effectively divided into two. In the north, the Trinh Lords were in charge, and in the south, it was the Nguyen Lords who held sway. Number 24. The Trinh and Nguyen Lords didn't play nice, though, which meant you had a situation where these two ruling families were fighting one another while both serving the Li Dynasty, who were technically meant to be in charge, but had about as much authority as a supply teacher trying to control lunchtime detention. Oh, and breathe, I told you it was complicated. Number 25. If you thought the other bit was complicated, you're going to love this. Basically, three brothers, Nguyen Hue, Nguyen Nhac, and Nguyen Lu, led an uprising known as the Tay Son Rebellion in the 1770s. Number 26. Now, the Newman Brothers were in no relation to the Nguyen Lords and defeated them in the south and the Trinh Lords in the north. So now the Newman Brothers became rulers of Vietnam. Number 27. Except there was another Nguyen, Nguyen An. This dude was an exiled Nguyen Lord who returned to Vietnam and took over the country in 1802 from the other Nguyen's. Got that? Okay, good. So in short, Vietnam was reunited by 1802 and the capital was moved to Hue. Number 28. Now we're in the 19th century, and what's that I can see on the horizon? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's European imperialism, the French flavour. In 1847, France attacked Da Nang Harbour, and a decade later invaded Vietnam. Number 29. France managed to conquer part of Vietnam, establishing a colony called Cochin China in 1862. Number 30. The French were still hungry for more territory though, and over the next 25 years slowly took over the country. In 1887, French Indochina was established, ending Vietnamese independence. Number 31. Now sure, the French did some stuff. Roads, canals,
Makes a nice change not hearing the British have taken over a country.
harbours and railways, even connecting Saigon with Hanoi via rail. But life wasn't exactly peachy. By the time World War II broke out, half the population were landless, only 15% of children went to school, and 80% of the population were illiterate. Number 32. When World War II kicked off proper, Vietnam was essentially under Japanese occupation from 1940 onwards, after the French colonial administration invited 30,000 Japanese troops into the country. Number 33. It was during this period, in 1941 to be precise, that some chap called Ho Chi Minh formed the League for the Independence of Vietnam, otherwise known as the Viet Minh. Number 34. By the end of the war, with Japanese power broken and French forces weak, Ho Chi Minh took the opportunity to declare Vietnamese independence in 1945. He even took inspiration from the US Declaration of Independence when he made the announcement. Number 35. Except not everyone was happy with the idea of an independent Vietnam. I'm looking at you here, France, and just a year later, in 1946, the Viet Minh and French forces were at war. Number 36. The fight against the French went on for 8 years, and this is where American involvement began. You see, that Ho Chi Minh fellow liked to dabble in a bit of old communism, and the USA was coming down with a nasty bit of Cold War fever, so they tried to help the French win. Number 37. But on the 7th of May 1954, 10,000 French troops surrendered at the Dien Bien Phu after a 57-day siege. Ho Chi Minh's forces had won, and in the resulting peace talks, Vietnam was divided into two.
Never knew
Number
this.
38.
That's
The
amazing.
communists got the northern half, while
It's a shame,
the
but it's
south, the regime
amazing.
under the anti-communist leader Ngo Dinh was founded. Although he wasn't exactly popular and was assassinated in 1963, and South Vietnam only got more unstable from there. Number 39. The North, hoping to unite the two Vietnams, created the Viet Cong to wage a guerrilla war in South Vietnam, and by the mid-1960s was also sending its own troops to topple the South Vietnamese government. Number 40. That's when America really did step it up. Now, we could probably do a whole 101 facts about the Vietnam War. Let us know if you want that, by the way. But for now, let's just say the war lasted until 1975. It led to a North Vietnamese victory, and Vietnam remains a communist country to this day. Number 41.
Whoa,
But the
look at
cost
that
of the
place.
war was huge. Over 200,000 South Vietnamese troops were killed, and North Vietnam and Viet Cong losses were at 1 million. 10% of the entire population, that's 4 million civilians, were either killed or injured in the conflict. Almost 60,000 Americans were KIA or MIA. The meaning of life. This was in due part to attacks like 1968's Tet Offensive, in which North Vietnam launched a series of coordinated attacks against over 100 South Vietnamese cities near the start of the Lunar New Year. Number 43. Now, the US and South Vietnam were taken surprise by this, but held off the attack, meaning the communists never actually took over any of the cities they tried to. Number 44.
So they
The
didn't
war
get anywhere.
was horrific and known to cause PTSD in many people who fought in it. One particular horrifying event was the My Lai massacre, in which American soldiers killed 400 unarmed civilians in the village of My Lai. Number 45. The My Lai massacre has caused protests across the world, and in fact has since been studied, examining the psychology of the perpetrators and their agency. Number 46. There is now a memorial in Sun Mai, called the Sun Mai Memorial, dedicated to the memory of those lost in My Lai. It was built 10 years after the atrocity in 1978. Number 47. While the US left the war in 1973, after they signed a peace treaty with North Vietnam, the South and North kept fighting. In fact, the war didn't really end until the North conquered Saigon and renamed it Ho Chi Minh City. Number 48. By the way, also known as Uncle Ho, Ho Chi Minh's body was embalmed when he died, obviously, and is on display in a mausoleum, though confusingly that's in Hanoi. Number 49. Ho Chi Minh City has architecture that was very influenced
Wow.
by the French colonialism in Vietnam. For instance, it has
Cool
the
city.
Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica of Saigon, full name Cathedral Basilica of Our Lady of the Immaculate Conception, which was finished by French colonists in 1880.
So there's a lot of European
50.
buildings in
Ho
Vietnam.
Chi Minh City also has
Cool.
lots of subterranean
I guess.
secrets too. Phu To Hoa Tunnel, for instance, was first dug in 1930 by resistance fighters, and the network was then expanded and used
Whoa.
for decades. Number 51. There's also a vast network called the Cu Chi Tunnel,
I don't know if I'd feel a little
which has been
claustrophobic
reserved by the
in those
Vietnamese
caves.
government, all
Caves,
121 kilometres of it. The tunnels had been made wider, would you believe,
Wow.
to accommodate tourists. And, oh, sorry, if you're claustrophobic, you probably should have looked away by now. Number 52.
I don't know if I would
There's a
be or
train
not.
service between
I
Ho
know
Chi
I'm
Minh
scared
City
of
and Hanoi
heights.
that's colloquially
I
known
know
as
that.
the Reunification Expressway. It serves as a big old 1,756
Done a skydive in New
kilometre long
Zealand
symbol
to
of a
realise I was
unified
scared of heights.
Vietnam. Number 53. Vietnam's capital is Hanoi, and about 8 million people live there. Really, this should help you out in at least one Zoom quiz, so you're welcome. Number 54.
I missed it.
Now, Hanoi means inside the rivers, but it's had a few other names. During different dynasties through history, it's been known as Longbian, Daila, Tang Long, Dong Kin, and Bac Tan. Number 55. Hanoi has a big old bridge called the Longbian Bridge of Hanoi, which is long and a bridge and in Hanoi. Great name. It was designed by Alexandre
good
Gustave
name.
Eiffel. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he's the bloke that designed the, well, Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty too. He got around.
Get on.
Number 56. Hanoi's Hoan Kiem Lake was home to a legendary turtle called Ku Roa, or
Is that
Great
like a snapping
Grandfather
turtle?
Now, people were genuinely devastated when he died in 2016 of natural causes at an unknown age. There was mourning across the country.
Wow.
Number 57.
That's cool.
In the 15th century, the legend says, a nationalist hero borrowed a magic sword, possibly from a dragon king, and wielded it to drive out the Chinese forces. He then returned it to a turtle that surfaced in Hoan Kiem Lake, the Lake of the Returned Sword in central Hanoi. Ku Rua was an embodiment of this turtle. Number 58. Turtles are one of the 4 animals that the Vietnamese consider sacred, along with dragons, unicorns, and phoenixes.
Oh, cool.
Turtles are also the only ones that are actually real. Number 59. In fact, Ku Rua died at such a time it was considered a
Good
bad
story for the
omen.
turtles,
It
eh?
was when the Communist Party were choosing a new leader for the next 5 years for the country. Some thought that Ku Rua's death meant doom was coming. Number 60. The largest ceramic mosaic in the world is in Hanoi. It's 4 kilometres long, took 3 years to create, and was
4
based on an idea by
kilometres?
journalist Nguyen Tu Toi. Number 61. We mentioned it
Cool.
briefly, but Lunar New Year, also known as Tet, is a festival that's a big deal in Vietnam. This usually happens in February. Number 62. Tet
Lunar.
usually lasts for about 3
Usually
days,
that.
with big crowds making noises with firecrackers or gongs to try and ward off evil spirits. Silly really, because we know what you actually have to do is cross the streams. Number 63. Tet is also important because the Vietnamese believe that what happens on the first day of the new year kind of sets the tone for the rest of it. Like whatever snack you serve first at a dinner party. That's a good analogy and you know it. This is why cutting hair and fingernails is taboo during this time in case you somehow unknowingly remove good luck. Nintendo 64.
Okay.
There's also the Vietnam Love Market. On the 27th of each year, ex-lovers and partners meet one another on mutual ground to celebrate how they've grown and show one another respect. You can also meet singles there too. Number 65. The history of the love market comes from a story of 2 star-crossed lovers, Mr. Ba and Miss Oot, one from a poor family and the other from a rich. They meet but are forbidden to marry, leading to massive fights between the families, so they break up, only meeting once a year on March the 27th. Number 66.
Interesting.
There's an old entertainment tradition in Vietnam
Looked a good
called
festival to
puppetry,
go and
which
see,
is,
for sure.
well, puppetry that has water at the bottom. This splashy little practice has been going on for about 4,000 years now.
4,000
Number 67.
years.
Vietnam is home to the world's largest cave, which has led my brain to form a million jokes that I can't say. It's called Hang Sung Doon Cave, and it's only 3 million...
See, I said I was claustrophobic, but that cave does look cool. So maybe I'm not claustrophobic. One way to find out.
years old, it's 5 kilometres long, and it's only been open to the public for 6 years. Which reminds me,
Looks
I need to
cool.
call my mum. Number 68.
Better than
Anyway,
the
Halong
tunnels
Bay is a
anyway.
beautiful area of Nam, so beautiful that it's now one of the 7 new natural wonders of the world and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Number 69.
Man, look at that.
Dong. Also, in case you were wondering, you can fly to Vietnam. I know, right? What facts we give you here. In fact, there
Good
are
fact.
45 airports in the whole country. Almost enough for a
45
different one a week
airports?
for a year, although your carbon footprint...
That's alright
will be
if you wanted to get internal
horrendous.
flights.
Number 70. Moving on to the
45
good eats now. The Vietnamese believe that there is the Tao Quan, or 3 kitchen gods, who look over kitchens inside the home and report their findings back to the mythical Jade Emperor for some reason. Number 71.
Okay.
The most popular Vietnamese dish is probably pho. Now, in case yo don't know about pho, it's a broth poured over a bed of soft rice noodles and sliced meat, often being, gently sprayed with a handful of chopped herbs and chives. Number 72.
Nice.
Pho came around at the end of the 19th century, when French colonialism meant there was a lot more beef available in Vietnam. Not just talking about fighting. This meant there was lots of beef bones to make broth from, and lo and behold, pho. Number 73. And hey, why not have that pho with some delicious wine? Snake wine! And it's
Snake
nothing to do with Metal Gear
wine?
Solid, by the way. Snake wine is made of, well, rice wine, but with a dead snake in it. But don't worry, as I say, the snake is dead, and its venom is cancelled out by the alcohol, apparently. Number 74.
So does the snake add anything apart from a spiritual thing of it might help your hair grow? Because I don't understand really why you would put a snake in your wine.
Snake wine is said to have healing powers and was first sold as a medicine to deal with things like hair loss or lack of virility. Certainly neither things that I suffer from. Nope, not me. It apparently tastes like fishy chicken. Number 75. Oh, and by the way, there's no legal drinking age in Vietnam, only an age at which you're allowed to buy it, which is 18. If you've somehow got your hands on alcohol without buying it and you're younger than that, you can get trashed, 4-year-olds, in Vietnam. Although, don't advise that. Why are 4-year-olds watching this? Number 76. Tiet Can is a tasty-looking Vietnamese dish, isn't it? Those red tomato-looking juices. Oh, sorry, no, actually that's not tomato, that's animal blood. Raw animal blood. It's normally blood that belongs to, well, okay, used to belong to, ducks, geese or pigs. Number 77. Anyway, on to other juices. Vietnam is the second largest producer of coffee in the world, second only to Brazil. For instance, in 2012 and 2013, Vietnam produced 22 million 60-kilogram bags of coffee.
Whoa.
Number 78. One thing it does win at, though, Vietnam is the biggest producer of cashew nuts in the world. You don't have to be nuts to live there, but it helps. Number 79. An exotic fruit grows in Vietnam called the star apple, which is very sweet. In Vietnamese, it's known as vu sua, or milky breast, and is colloquially known as the breast milk fruit. Number 80.
How sweet it is,
in
though.
Vietnam,
Is
it
it
seems
enjoyable?
that 2 wheels are far more popular than 1 or indeed 4. That's because there are more than 45 million registered motorbikes in the country. I don't know what the figures are on unicycles, but I imagine there's not 45 million of them. Number 81. Now look at...
Like, do they have tuk-tuks like in Thailand to get about, or is it more the pedalled like bike tuk-tuk style? Comment below if you know. Yeah.
this. Doesn't this look like an absolute joy to wear? Known as Ao Yai, this is an outfit worn on special occasions in Vietnam. It used to be unisex too, so us absolute lads got in on the action. Number 82. The most popular last name in Vietnam is Nguyen, as I'm sure you can tell from earlier when I said it 1,000 times or so. In fact, between 30 to 40% of people have this name. Number 83. The currency of Vietnam is dong. That's it, no joke there. Nope, none at all. Not even a remotely funny name. Number 84. The Forbidden Purple City in Hue is a place where confusingly you can visit, but certain areas of it are sacred and are only allowed to be entered by the royal family and their servants. Number 85. Vietnam has its own sport. It's known as Sepak Tak Raw or kick volleyball and looks like a bloody good laugh actually, and I wish I was able to do it at PE. Number 86.
Looked
When
an
you're
interesting
hosting
sport
something
for
like I am
sure.
that Jennifer Lawrence meets me, do you do this? Well, don't do it in Vietnam. This hand gesture is actually seen as being incredibly rude there, and will
do
result
that.
in not nice things happening.
Oh, get
Number
on.
87.
Okay.
Phanxapan is
Say
not
more of
only a
that.
great name for a young prince or something, but it's also a Vietnamese mountain. It's 3,147.3 metres high, the tallest point in the Indo-Chinese province. Number 88.
What's the view
Normally
like up there?
Phanxapan takes a few days to climb on top of, but
Ah,
luckily
sit like
you can
that.
go by cable car. At 6,292.5
Sweet.
metres, it actually has the Guinness World Record for the longest non-stop free-rope
Something.
cable car. It takes about 20 minutes. Number 89. 16% of the world's animal species live in Vietnam, making their biodiversity score pretty high, all things considered. Number 90. Apparently, according to those money nerds at the World Bank, Vietnam has one of the lowest rates of unemployment in the world, at 2.2% of the population, since you asked, I imagine. Number 91. This absolute little beauty is Ninh Binh. Lovely, eh? If you recognise that, it's where Kong Skull Island was filmed. Everyone remembers that movie, right? Kong Skull Island? Number 92. While it was one of the first Hollywood movies to be shot there, it's not the only one. Films shot in Vietnam include 2015's Pan and upcoming movies The Five Bloods on Netflix and Artemis Fowl on Disney+. Number 93. It may not surprise you to learn that the highest grossing film of all time in Vietnam is Avengers Endgame, with Infinity War at number 3. But in its
Never seen
second
it.
is its own Kua Lai Vo Bao, or Win Back My Pregnant Wife. It got 190 billion dong in its first 2 months. That's $8.2 million, by the way. Number 94.
Might try
In
and
at
watch
fourth
that.
place is
Find
a
that.
rom-com called Chua 18, or Jailbait, which has a pretty disturbing premise for a rom-com, but anyway. It may interest you to know that Kong Skull Island is
Jailbait.
actually at number 5. Number 95. In fact, Kong Skull Island has actually been fairly significant to Vietnam. Its director, Jordan Vogt Roberts, was named Vietnam's tourism ambassador from 2017 to 2020. Number 96. While Korea has K-pop, Vietnam has V-pop. It's had a lot of American and European influences, such as rock and EDM, although V-pop these days is more a general term covering music that young people like. You know, boomer talk. Number 97. Phu Quoc is the biggest island in all of Vietnam, which has 574 square kilometres, but strangely foreigners can go there without a visa and stay there for up to 30 days.
Cool.
Number 98.
Cool.
There's also a perfume
It's
river
handy,
in
isn't
Hue.
it?
It's
Especially when we're
30 kilometres long, and
travelling
it's so
or
named,
wanting
not
to
because some
travel.
celebrity did a weird ad for it, but because orchids fall in it, making it smell very nice indeed. And we've got the Thames. Number 99. Most recently, Vietnam has been reveling in success in terms of its response to COVID-19. Only about 300 people were infected at all in the country, and of those, nobody died. Number 100. Now, they did this by reacting very, very quickly when cases started appearing and sending anybody who entered the country into quarantine centres. They didn't even have a national lockdown, they only had local ones. They smashed it, basically.
That's how it should have been,
Number
isn't it?
101. Vietnam's national animal, by the way, is the humble
That's how it should have been.
buffalo. Look at it, what a unit. So that was 101 facts about Vietnam. Have you been to Vietnam? Are you currently...
It's really good, that video. he was a funny chap as well, wasn't he, narrating it? He did catch me out a couple of times with laughter. Wow. Again, a lot of the stuff at the start of that video was the history and that, which I do find fascinating, but a lot of it as well just goes way over my head. But the things that I pick up on, we never did see that bridge, did we, of the hands? So I was hoping that would be like a place he'd want to talk about. I'd have to find that as well and want to learn more about that bridge. Just see where it's to. It looks stunning. Then there's again so many places. There were so many places that he was saying that I would like to see. The cable car up the top of the tallest mountain looks stunning. I didn't know that that was bad luck in Vietnam. So don't do that. It's slim. Don't do that. But yeah, real good that was. A lot going through my mind now, thinking about it all, and a great way to start the Vietnam journey on my YouTube channel with looking at more videos. So I hope you guys got something out of it as well. Again, even France being involved. A lot to think about. It's cool. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying this channel. And you're welcome to just tag along when you want, no pressure. But everyone else seems to say to like and subscribe, so if you can't beat them, join them, eh? And yeah, I've been Slim Win, and thank you for checking me out. Ciao.